Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be about Inktober. Not something I have ever actually done before. I always want to, but I never end up having the time. But this year I thought I would at least get one video made, test out some of my pens that I never actually end up using, and just have a go and see what it's like. So straight away, what I am actually attempting to draw here is it's something from Lord of the Rings, and it is a character called the Mouth of Sauron. And I will point out that the lighting is quite weird in this video. It's because overall my footage was way too white or too bright on this video. So I have had to play around with editing the contrast in my video editing software. So hopefully it is at least quite visible now. But anyway, this is the character the Mouth of Sauron, as mentioned. And I thought I'd start off with this because there is a lot of symmetry to it, which I struggle with, but with me drawing it freehand without any construction lines or anything like this, I wasn't expecting it to be perfect. I wanted to just sort of throw these lines down, try my best, and see how it turned out, I guess. So it's mainly a character with his teeth showing, and he's got a lot of metal, a metal helmet that completely covers his face, and then a black robe around that. If anyone has seen the Lord of the Rings movies, this character is very briefly in the third movie, The Return of the King. And overall, I was actually pretty impressed with the way this one turned out. I'm starting in the top left corner because I planned on doing a few random images on this page in case anyone is wondering why I've sort of cut the top of his head off. So I didn't realise I would actually end up cutting the top of the head off. And you can see I've got a few different pens as well. To be honest, I've not even used them before, I don't think. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to try them out. So for those who are interested, the pen I am using mainly here is the Tombow pen, Tombow brush pen. I forget the exact name. Just in case I'm wrong, I will put a link in the description box below the video to where you can get these. And then I used a brush pen, as opposed to just an inking pen, for the hood, just to fill it in a little bit faster. That one was a Kurotake pen, but the packaging is not in English. But again, if I can find out what it is, I will put the link in the description box below. So moving on, the second image, this one gave me a little bit of difficulty. The reference I used for this was actually the Basilisk from the Harry Potter films. I did try to make it look like the reference, but I was following it quite loosely, so I didn't mind if it didn't look like it. Just as long as it ended up looking good more than anything. The perspective of this, though, gave me a bit of trouble. You can probably tell at this point. The side of his face was, well, it's two side on, whereas the nose is more of a 3/4 view. I try my best to bring this back a little bit, but I was worried at this point. And this illustration, I wanted to be the main one on the page, because as mentioned, I wanted to get a few smaller ones on, but this was the main one I was going for. I think this is the one that I spent the most time on as well. So the reason I was finding these quite difficult was actually because I've never drawn freehand like this without construction lines. I rely very heavily on, using a pencil sketch to start off with, getting that as good as I can, and then inking over the top. So for me, this was something completely different. Something I was, a little bit worried about trying actually, especially when you record yourself on YouTube, because if it doesn't look too good, you are open to a lot of criticism online. But honestly, I actually kind of surprised myself, with some of the drawings at least. So others didn't turn out quite as good, but once I got these more towards finished, I was actually quite pleased with them. It's definitely not something I would class as a finely detailed illustration. It's a lot more carefree than one that I would have used a pencil for. Rougher edged, probably proportions off all over. But at the same time, because I didn't spend ages and ages doing construction lines, it actually was a lot quicker to draw. And I think by the end of this page, I spent maybe an hour and a half in total. Maybe even less than that, actually. Which, for me, normally, I would probably only be finishing the pencil sketch of the first head in the top left in an hour and a half. Because I am really slow at drawing normally. But yeah, this was definitely something really new to me. And I never actually thought, if you've never heard of Inktober before, basically what a lot of artists do is during the month of October, they use any kind of inking pen and try to just draw something every single day and post that online. So this isn't properly Inktober because I haven't drawn one thing every day, nor will I get chance to do that, unfortunately. So I wanted to actually get a couple of images, a bit like a sketch dump, recorded, so that at least if I don't get to do it again for a little while, I've had a worthwhile go at least. But I'm still going to call it Inktober. So now we are on to the third illustration. These last ones didn't take very long. The Basilisk from Harry Potter was definitely the longest. And again, this third image is from The Lord of the Rings, or based on an image from The Lord of the Rings. So this is a Beserker uruk-hai. There wasn't that much detail to even draw on this one, and I was running out of space anyway. It ended up kind of looking like something from a horror film, but I didn't mind that too much. It was a pretty simple drawing. As already mentioned, I've never actually done Inktober before. I always put it off and come up with an excuse not to even get a single drawing done for it. And I would say the hardest bit of this for me was actually just getting started, actually putting that first line down. So if you are in the same position as me there, the best advice I could give is to not worry about it. Don't worry if it turns out rubbish. The main thing is that you give it a go, get those lines down on the paper. You will probably surprise yourself, especially the more you do it, especially if you're doing it every single day. You will probably improve an awful lot. And most importantly, try to have a bit of fun with it. Doesn't matter what you draw. There aren't that many rules with this. So just try to enjoy yourself. And if you can, learn something from it as well. And that final drawing there was just to fill the empty space. That one turned out terrible, but it doesn't matter. I'm not that bothered. You probably notice a bit of a theme here. I had been researching some Lord of the Rings stuff for a different illustration earlier, so I already had the images loaded up on my PC of these. So a lot of these characters are from Lord of the Rings. Hopefully you can recognise them. Anyway guys, that's it. I'm probably not going to do another Inktober video this month, unless it's something people request. But definitely leave me a comment below. I'd love to know if you guys are participating in Inktober this year, and if so, what kind of things you like to draw. There are different ways you can participate and have set things to actually draw. I preferred just to go for it and just draw whatever I fancied at the time. Anyway, as always, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.